Hello everybody, how's it going? Like Butter here, and today I got another build video for the Division, and this build I am super excited to share with you guys because this is the best DPS build that I've come up with in an extremely long time. Now, if you've seen my last video that I posted yesterday, I posted a video called Best PvP Since 1.1. Now, you guys know in 1.1, the Sentry's Call build was like insane DPS, where you could basically mark somebody in a split tenth of a second and do 45% extra damage. So it was more of DPS meta and not so much tank-tactician meta like we are seeing now. And you could put people down extremely fast. Now, this build that I'm going to show you today is not going to allow you to do the amount of damage that Sentry's Call did. However, this build is going to allow you to do tons of DPS and be able to put people down, especially in PvP situations. And I'll show you guys some adjustments you can make when you go do PvE. I make those same adjustments. I don't have the same exact guns and loadouts that I use for PvE. So we're gonna go over this and talk about why this build kind of sets it apart from everything else that we've had in this game. So first, let me explain kind of how they balance the weapons in this game. So basically, weapons that have super short magazines are most likely going to do a high amount of damage. Guns with extremely long magazines like LMGs and some ARs aren't going to do as much damage at all because that's kind of how they balance it out. So short magazine, high damage, long magazine, short damage. So that's why I really want to show you guys why FireCrest kind of basically breaks that mindset that the developers had when it came to DPS and why it's so helpful for you guys in the Dark Zone if you're ever PvPing. So what I'm using is an MP7, which is super important in this build, and I'll show you guys why. This is an old MP7 that I had from 1.2, where I got like pretty much a god roll, 24% crit chance. We had a pretty high base damage. We had brutal, deadly, and swift. Now I re-rolled swift for responsive. So right now this is probably the best, MP7 that you can get for a 204 from 1.2. Now, however, I would probably use an MP7 that had the same exact stats except having crit damage instead of crit chance if it was a 229, because the base damage is going to be a little bit higher. But in this scenario and in this situation, that 24% crit hit chance is going to help a lot. So I'll show you guys like small things that you can change if you are using one of the newer SMGs that have crit hit damage instead of crit hit chance, and we'll kind of go from there. So on my MP7, on my scope, I am using a small RDS scope. You can get a blueprint for this. I think there even might be one in the base of operations if it got moved, because it used to be in the Dark Zone, and I bought it there, and I made a bunch of these, and you can usually get some pretty good rolls on this. So what I run is I run 21.5% headshot damage and 7.5% critical hit chance. That critical hit chance is huge since that's going to be how you're doing most of the damage, with this build. Also, remember that this version of the build doesn't run Savage Gloves because of the fact that I'm running one of the old MP7s. However, like I said, if you're using one of the newer SMGs that have crit hit damage and not crit chance, then you might want to switch the Reckless chest piece that I'm going to show you for Savage Gloves, because basically you use Savage Gloves if you need crit chance, and you use the Reckless chest piece if you don't. So that's super helpful there. The headshot damage also helps a lot. On my extended mag, I have 100% magazine size, 29.3% fire rate. Now, a lot of people say, oh, why not use weapon damage on the MP7? And I actually did use weapon damage when I first got my MP7 because I thought 950 rounds per minute was enough. However, after testing it multiple times, especially with this build, you want to make sure you have fire rate on your gun, because before, the reason was because if you shoot your clip too fast, then you got to reload and it gives them time to recuperate. Well, this build is not going to let them have that time. So make sure you put fire rate on it, whether it's an AUG, a Vector, an MP7, it does not matter. If you're using an SMG with this or even an assault rifle, make sure to put rate of fire on it. It's very, very important in this game. Rate of fire is definitely the best way to output the fastest amount of damage and the most amount of damage you can in a certain time frame. So for my underbarrel, stability is an absolute must because the MP7 has a lot of recoil, especially if you are on console. It's going to be super hard to use. Now, I don't struggle with the MP7's recoil that much because I hip fire a lot, and the hip fire accuracy that's on this under barrel helps a ton. So I can usually keep it pretty stable. But like I said, it's easier to kind of fight the recoil on a mouse than it is on a controller. So on a controller, maybe even want like stability and accuracy if you don't hip fire. So because hip firing is super hard on console. So here maybe you have like an angle grip that has stability and accuracy like this here instead. So yeah, that's one thing you can switch up depending on what you need. I am using a flash hider. I think flash hiders are the best for your barrel because you get the accuracy and the crit hit damage. So that crit hit damage is going to be huge because obviously our crit chance is pretty high. So that's what I got on my main weapon. Now, I want to talk about this. I just started using this yesterday. What I used to use is this Vicious, Brutal, Fierce First Wave M1A. It's a 204, but it has 166% headshot damage. You're probably like, Drew, why aren't you still using that? Now, even though this SOCOM M1A isn't like super, super good, I love it because of one thing, and I'm going to show you guys why. Now, you can see the headshot damage is extremely low. It has Vicious, Brutal, and Skilled. Now, you guys are probably like, why do you have Skilled on your sniper rifle, Drew? Well, I'm going to show you here in this next clip why you run Skilled on your sniper rifle. So as you can see there, in only a couple of headshots, I completely got my survivor link back before, like, almost before it was even finished. So, like, I get that feeling from the old trained that, used to be on the Midas when the game first came out, when you could completely stack, your ultimate again before it was even done. So Skilled is amazing, and I'd rather have that 12% signature skill, resource gain on a headshot rather than get 9% extra crit, because always having your ultimate up is not only going to help you, it's going to help your team, and you're going to win a lot more fights in the dark zone. So I'll talk more about Skilled in an upcoming video, but just to show you guys why I'm running that. But let's go in and talk about the mods on my gun. So I am running a MK5 scope 15 times. Super important, especially if you have Skilled and you want to get those headshots. It helps you zoom in. It helps you get, those precise shots. This has 22.5% headshot damage, 7.5% crit chance. That crit chance is super important on M1As because remember, they don't have a base crit chance like the old SMGs do. For an extended mag, I am using magazine size and weapon damage. Now, the reason reason you use weapon damage on a sniper rifle is because since you're not critting too often, the weapon damage just help you do more consistent damage, and that's going to be super important. So I highly suggest weapon damage on that. And for my underbarrel, I have stability, which you want a little bit of stability on your sniper so that it stays steady, and 21.5% accuracy. Now, some people may say, oh, wait, like, why would you run accuracy on a sniper rifle? Accuracy is probably more important on a sniper rifle than it is on any other weapon. It is so important to be able to have your shots go straight, because what will happen is if you have really low accuracy, you'll notice that your shots kind of stray quite a bit. So that's really important. And then accuracy and crit hit damage on the barrel. And let's go over my pistol. It is a must-have if you have the new DLC. This is, by the way, a underground build. You can't build this yet, so if you're on PS4, I am sorry, but don't worry. August 2nd will come a lot faster than you expect. So for here, I'm using an extended mag that has weapon damage and mag size, just because the RPM is 625, and that's almost as fast as you can possibly click. I don't even think you can ever get that many rounds per minute. Small laser pointer, which I've been trying to find a good one for so long to see if we could get like a blue one, because I think there's a blue one that gives you hip fire accuracy and accuracy, but this only gives me the hip fire accuracy, but that's cool. And then a flash hider, 19% accuracy, 37% critical hit damage. So first wave X45, the new pistol is phenomenal. It's so good. It's definitely one of the only decent pistols in the game. Now, I have sustain here. I haven't even rolled this. I could roll expert for something else, but I've kind of been waiting to get either brutal or deadly in the second talent here, and then roll expert for the opposite one of that. So I'm just kind of sitting tight and not really worrying about it too much. Now, this, for whatever reason, this always unticks one of my mods, which is super frustrating. Let me just put it back on here. I think I was running the skill power here. Okay. So that puts my toughness back up a little bit, but it always unchecks that when I open my game. It's super weird. Okay, so first thing is the chest piece. Now remember, the reason I'm using the reckless chest piece and not savage gloves is because I already have enough crit chance because of the old SMG that I'm using that has 24%. So keep that in mind. If you have like crit chance on your mask, and you have crit chance mods, and you have a crit chance scope and a bunch of crit chance that you don't need savage gloves, then this is the place to go for that. But with any of the new SMGs, savage gloves are probably a little bit better. But like I said, in my situation, reckless is better in this build. So I'm running 2 stamina mods because you want to get as tanky as possible, 1500 skill power and 161 armor, which is going to put me at the armor max. I am running a blind mask, so this build is going to be reckless, 3 FireCrest, 2 blind. Now you can mix it up. You can do like 2 final measure if you like sticky bombs are a real problem. Someone said that on Xbox everyone's using sticky bombs, so you might want to use that final measure instead of blind. But on my mask, I have 5100 skill power, 13% blind depth resistance, and 8.5 first aid ally heal, which is going to help me, heal my teammates. So that's super good. For a mod, I'm using crit chance. Now, the reason I'm using crit chance is because I need to get that crit chance up a little bit because I'm not using savage gloves. So crit chance mods I think are pretty good. 1.5% crit chance may not seem like a lot, but trust me, it is. And then I got blind knee pads on, where I'm using, once again, critical hit chance, 1.5%. These have crit damage, disorient resist, shock resist. Shock resist is one of the biggest ones because a lot of times, when they drop shock turrets, I don't ever get shocked. Pulse duration, so like all the good stuff that you would want on your stuff, on your gear. Now this FireCrest micro shuttle pack that looks like a giant box on my back, although it is ugly as hell, it is probably one of the best that you can roll for this. The only thing I would change up is the bleed resistance, but it's got decent firearms. I have a stamina mod on here that's exotic damage resilience, just to get my exotic up a little bit, but you can do like skill power there if you need skill power. I don't need skill power because like I have 7100 skill power in my major attribute. Don't forget, you want to try to get skill power on your backpack and your mask, and then even if you only have like 1,000 electronics, that should get you up in the 20k range. But you can see like the skill attributes: first aid, self heal, pulse, critical hit damage. Like, that's huge. It's perfect for my build. So I'm so happy I kept this backpack because I knew at some point I would need it. The firearms on this are super low, but that's okay. You know, that's the rest of it kind of makes up for it. The bleed resistance isn't super helpful. I'd rather have like burn resist there, but still, you know, great backpack. Okay, so my gloves. Here I'm using FireCrest gloves. SMG damage, health on kill, critical hit damage. You notice I don't have crit chance on these gloves. You could probably get better ones. These were just the best ones that I got for FireCrest. Especially they're 240, so I still need to upgrade that. So this build, we're over 300k DPS and almost 400k toughness and 26,000 skill power, almost 27,000, and I don't even have my gear maxed out. We have a 240. I think we have a 240. Oh, no, that's a 268. Okay, this is 268. And I think these two are 268 too. But our gloves are still super underwhelming. So if I got like even better gloves, if we got like 268 FireCrest gloves and they were like beastly, yeah, it'd be so huge. Like if they were like these Deadeye gloves, the crit damage, crit chance, first aid, self heal, that shit would be pretty crazy. So this build even has a little bit more, you know, room for improvement, which is insane. But the SMG damage helps with the MP7. I highly suggest getting crit chance here instead, even though in this build I wouldn't have needed it, but I would have been able to take off those excess crit chance mods and put something else in there. I don't even know what I would put. Maybe exotic damage resilience, get that up by like 9 or 10, or yeah, that would probably be helpful. The skill attribute here isn't super helpful, but smart cover damage increase, I mean, at least it helps, right? Like, so if I'm on a teammate's smart cover, I think this will help me by 3%. I'm not sure if it affects me, even if it's not my smart cover. I would assume it does, but yeah. Decent stamina. Actually, the stamina is a little low on that because it's a 240. And then my holster, which can also use improvement, as you guys see here. Now, it does have good firearms and electronics roll. Stamina is a little low. Usually, when you're on 268 holsters, you want to look for over 700 on all the stats, like this Sentry's Call holster here. Like, look at those stats. Ooh, I can't wait to use that, man. I'm trying to put a Sentry's Call build back together because of that sniper with skilled. I think it'll just be insane. But armor on your holster almost all the time. You usually want that. I mean, you could go for resource gain or skill haste, but I think the armor is more important. That way you can sacrifice armor in other spaces to make yourself a little bit stronger. So crit, it would be better to have crit hit damage here, or crit hit first aid, self heal, but still pretty dang good. And let's go over like the overall statistics of the character. So crit chance is 34.5, which is more than enough, and I'll show you why here in a second. 140%, 47% critical hit damage, 46% headshot damage. Now, of course, that headshot damage could come up a little bit. Oh shoot, I have the wrong. It was showing me the wrong stats, I think. Yeah, it was showing me the wrong stats. Okay, rewind. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, 46% headshot damage. Oh, so that headshot damage is a little bit low, but that's okay. Accuracy 78, anywhere, you know, around 80 is pretty good. So the reload speed bonus, that's why you build the 3-piece FireCrest, and I'll show you guys why here in a second. Weapon damage 14%. So let's go down to health 98,970. So we're almost at that 100k health mark, which is pretty good in this meta. Only one armor over the max, so we're maxed out at 75%. Exotic damage resilience 16%. Now this could come up a little bit. Maybe you want to sacrifice, like if you have critical hit chance on your gloves, like you can get like 6.5%. I could take literally like 3 of those crit chance mods off and then put on exotic damage resilience, which is 3.5 each. So if you think about it, you could get like another like 12%. So you would be up near like 28% exotic, which is more than enough. And I think that would even help my build a lot. So when I get those 268 FireCrest gloves, that might be what I go for there. Bleed resistance 13%, all that stuff. You guys don't want to see that, right? We're pretty much seeing everything here. So for talents, let's go over the talents quickly, and then we'll go over skills. So for talents, I'm using critical save, which is super important. Basically, when you get low, use a med kit, you get damage resistance for by 40%. I am running triage, which is a must, especially if you run in a group. It's super important. Gets everyone's, it gets your cooldowns reduced like crazy, and then people get healed. I'm kind of debating on whether I want to switch this one up. I mean, obviously, one is none is a must-have, on any build. Doesn't matter what type of build you have, one is none is 100% necessary. It basically, if you're accurate and you're hitting headshots, it can up to like double your mag size. It's insane. But I'm using Wildfire. Applying burn to any target triggers a 30% chance to apply the effect to all targets within 10 meters. This is super good for FireCrest because you get 6 incendiary bullets, especially if you run with a reclaimer. Like, we have a reclaimer in our group, and he's always constantly using fire bullets. So that's super helpful. You can catch someone on fire, and then if they have 2 teammates next to them, you have a 30% chance of catching the entire team on fire. So that's super awesome. And yeah, that's pretty much the build. Now let me explain to you guys why run 3 FireCrest and 2 blind. Okay, 2 blind obviously for the pulse critical hit damage, and the reason you run the pulse critical hit damage is because, well, you're going to be burning people so fast that small window of time that you have to get increased stats is going to be huge. I think I forgot to show you guys my skills. So obviously I'm running first aid and pulse, but look at these stats, guys. It is insane. 60 meter range, 29.6 second duration. So this pulse lasts forever. Okay, critical hit chance is 29.8%. Now don't forget, because my skill power is 26,000, I am giving my entire team 30% crit chance and 88.1% crit hit damage. And the cooldown is 44 seconds, and that doesn't even count triage. If I shoot down my heal, my teammates run in and out like once or twice, it's going to completely just remove the cooldown, and boom, we have that pulse back up again. Also, my heal is ridiculous, dude. I heal for so much. So it says here, so self heal is 54,000, ally heal is 54,000, range is 2 meters, deploy range, all that other stuff. The cooldown 28.4 seconds. It is so important to get up near the 20,000, 25,000 skill power range. Even if you are a DPS player, this skill power is going to help you survive. You're going to be healing your teammates, and you're bringing just more to the table than you could ever ask for as a DPS player. So not only am I going to do tons of damage because of the pulse, I'm just never going to die, especially with my team helping me out and giving me heals and having survivor link and me having skilled on my sniper. All I have to do is kill 3 or 4 NPCs and I get my signature ability back. It's insane how strong this build is. Now we're gonna go to the shooting range, and I'm going to show you guys exactly why 3-piece FireCrest is the best thing in DPS history when it comes to a game like The Division. Okay? You know how we talked about the situations before where they basically made it so, when I mean the devs made it so that if your clip is extremely short, you'll do a high amount of damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to restock here, okay? Let's put our stuff on so we can restock. Oh, we have too much stuff on us. Let's see what I have. I think I have too many mods or something. Small RDS scope. Oh, all right, we'll just put the Lone Star on. We don't really need to put the police bag on. Okay, so let's restock here. And I'm going to show you guys why the 100% reload speed is a complete game changer for DPS builds. Okay, so this is I'm going to show what you guys are reloading, your reload time without it. So let's put a Lone Star on or something like that, or let's put, sure, let's put this one on. All right, so this is just a show. Look at what my DPS went down to. All right, firearms are the same. We still have all our talents active, okay? 223k DPS. It dropped almost 100,000 DPS just because of the reload speed. Now, some people are like, "Oh, reload speed inflates your DPS." No, it actually doesn't, and here's why. Okay, if you take, for example, over a 10-second period, right? So we have a 10-second window of testing. Now, if you shoot your clip and you reload, and you shoot your clip again, and you reload, and you shoot your clip again, those windows of time where you're not doing DPS, like you're doing 0 DPS while you're reloading, that's dropping your DPS over a 10-second period drastically. Now, if you can cut that reload time in half, it's going to be amazing how much more DPS you will do over a 10-second period, especially in a game like this where people have so many ways to heal themselves and run around and do circles and dive around and pop ultimate. If you can burn somebody before they have time to react, you're going to get kills most of the time. So let me show you guys here what it's like shooting an MP7 without the reload speed. So you're going to output a lot of damage, right? Don't even look at the damage, right? Don't even look at the damage. Just strictly look at the reloading. Okay, you're going to shoot your clip. Now notice that the time that you're shooting and the reload are at about the same amount of time. So you're only outputting your DPS half the time. Do you guys see what I'm saying? You're only putting out DPS half the time. That entire time that you're reloading, you're doing nothing. You're not helping your team. You're not doing damage. You're giving them time to recuperate. Okay, now let's put the 3-piece FireCrest on and look at the difference. Do you guys see this? This is why it puts my DPS up to 305k. The DPS counter in this game, I'm assuming, takes reload speed into account over a period of time. So, if you're spending less time doing 0 DPS, then you're spending more time doing 300,000 DPS. And this is why, if you are using an SMG or even an assault rifle or a sniper or a shotgun, anything really, this 100% reload speed is insane. It's insane. It cuts the reload time in half. Crazy. So that's why you run 3-piece FireCrest. I think any other build at this point, unless you're using like a Sentry build or something, is obsolete. There's no reason to run anything but 3 FireCrests at this point. Excuse me, because it's the only set that's come out that actually helps you do more DPS. And that's without doing extra raw damage, just simply being more efficient with how much you're shooting in a certain period of time. Hopefully this build helped you guys out. If it did, be sure to drop this video a like. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And let me know what builds you guys are going for. I'm really, really excited to hear what you guys have been doing lately. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.